The F80 Gunraid is a criminally underrated, somewhat obscure design. Featuring modern master-grade goodness packed in a tight late UC form factor, this is a mass-produced grunt suit that just delivers, with minimal corner cutting, tons of accessories, and an amazing looking build. This is peak master-grade Federation grunt, up there with the likes of the GM Sniper 2, the J-Gun, and the Jesta. This model kit is definitely worth checking out, so let me show you why. Released in August 2025 on Premium Bandai for a price of 5,280 yen, we have the Master Grade F80 Gunraid from the manga Mobile Suit Gundam F90 cluster. The box is in monochromatic red, typical for P-Bandai. The box is vertically orientated like the F90 MG that this is based on. The art depicts two of them in an action pose. There is no credited artist for the box art. Then there is nothing notable on the side. Here is the obligatory backlog view. Then just the name of the kit at the other side and backlog view number 2. Opening up the box, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bags of runners and the manual. The front of the manual is the colored version of the box art. Here is the runner list. We do get quite a bit of unused parts since this is based on the MG F90. The rest of the instructions have nothing notable except it shows that it is compatible with the other P-Bandai mission packs for the F90. The back is the decal guide and of course the color chart. For the runners, we have a total of 12. 2 of which are from the F90A type, 4 of which are mainly for the inner frame coming from the original F90, and 5 of which are brand new for this F80 Gunraid. And of course the last is the Beam Saber Effect Runner SB13. Also get some varnish tube and a wire, a foil sticker sheet for the sensors, and some nice waterslide decals, which is always a beautiful sight to see. That's it for the contents, let's get to the build. Starting with the torso, we get a clear green cockpit with a pilot figure inside. Then the armor just layers on. There is a minor seam line where the white pieces meet, but it is made of as panel line. The inner frame color is in that purple gray, which I am a fan of. A shoulder pop-out gimmick for the joint is also present. The neck joint just clips on. Then the yellow pieces for the vents are really nice because the gray parts noticeably pop out. Then 2 big red pieces sandwiched on with a seam line made as a panel line in the middle. Since this is a modern MG, we have a cockpit hatch gimmick, leaving us with a deceptively simple but well-engineered torso. For the head, we get stickers for the back of the visor, which still has a clear green part. The 2 big armored sections just sandwich onto the gray inner frame with the bits sticking out. You also get a sticker for the back sensor. The mohawk and the red piece go on, and we also get a clear part for the big front sensor with a sticker behind it. The bunny ear looking things or the antennae are a bit tricky to place as you have to be more forceful, so be a bit careful. Then lastly, the cover of the Vulcans to finish off this nice head. Now the arm reuses a lot of pieces from the F90 Master Grade, utilized in pretty much the entire frame of the arms and the hands as well. The hands are those swappable 4-finger types. The other armor parts though are all brand new. The shoulders themselves feature no reused parts, and we have great engineering with frame parts for the underside of the armors and hard points to connect to other mission packs. The waist is surprisingly more involved as you get a waist side-to-side gimmick and a hip-dropping mechanism with a lock. The front skirts are pretty simple but have an inner frame and some vent details. The crotch piece just layers on. The back skirt is more intricate as it has articulated hooks to hold some of the accessories. Then it is finished off with pretty simple side skirts that do have a frame as well. The legs are the most complicated pieces as usual. You get great color separation at the feet. This is where the varnish tube comes in as you cut the piece according to the manual, and we have no issues placing them on. I really like the frame parts sticking out, and the engineering for the ankle joints prevents any seam lines. Majority of the inner frame for the legs themselves are from the F90 except the big lower leg armors. The inner frame itself isn't super intricate, but considering that this is a grunt suit, it does the job well. The armor layering though is great as you have a lot of efficient detail with the vents, the gray parts sticking out for a beautiful end result. The backpack itself is pretty bare bones, nothing special but also really nothing bad to say about it. Though you'll see later that you can add a lot more bulk to this thing with the accessories. Speaking of which, for the accessories, we start with a short beam rifle. We get a clear green piece for the sensor. The construction is pretty simple and unfortunately, it has a bit of a seam line, but it still looks good. The Mega Beam Bazooka is exactly the same as the one you get for the F90A type or Assault type. The handle is articulated thankfully, but there's also another nasty seam line. We also get 3 E-Pack ammunitions. I'm assuming you can store this to the side skirts later. Then we have the triple beam cannon, which is taken from the F70 Cannon Gundam. There is no MG for that yet. The cannon has a seam line again in the middle and comes with an additional backpack which layers onto the existing one. Lastly, the shield, which is unique to this mobile suit. We get a full inner frame with a movable handle. It is a nice shield, but no additional gimmicks, just a very simple shield for this kit. Putting it all together, it's nothing crazy intricate like a MGEX, a Verka, or even some of the newer MGs, but what you do get is a well-executed grunt suit. The build really reminds me of the GM Sniper 2 and the Jesta. Despite being mass-produced mobile suits, the kits themselves don't leave you wanting more. Sometimes you need kits like this to really refresh yourself from the typical Gundam types. The build is really solid and fun, and I would even recommend this for beginners who want to try out more Grunt master grades. So here we have the Master Grade F80 Gunraid, assembled out of the box according to the manual with no additional modifications, and it looks great. Color accuracy wise, it is basically spot on with the line art besides some black lining. Let's have a quick background on this design's origin. The F80 Gunraid is basically a mass-produced version of the F90, the latter of which is famous for having all those mission packs released in P Bandai. The mechanical designer for the Gunraid is Takayuki Yanase, who has done a lot of mobile suit designs for Gundam. Let me name a few. Most recently, he designed the Lifrith Ur and the Lifrith Thorn from G-Witch. He also did some build series designs like the A to C Gundam and the Seltsum. His most notable designs are probably from Double O. Specifically, he designed the Arios, the Kyrios, the Dynamis, and the Virtue, amongst others. Those were some of his more notable designs. He has done a lot more, so please tell me your favorite and least favorite ones in the comments below. Back to the Gunraid, if you compare it with the art, it is almost one of one. They kept the proportions, the details, and the colors. So if you're a sucker for anime/manga accuracy, you'd love this kit. The design itself is very late UC, being a bit more compact and small. You can think of it as the GM of the F90 manga, as it's basically the Federation mobile suit that is a mass-produced version of a more powerful Gundam type. Despite being a mass-produced grunt, we get a good amount of detail with enough room to add your own. There are also nice little vents and grey accents. That being said, let's talk about its model kit aesthetic sins or flaws, beginning with the seam lines. There are a lot of seams here that are designed to be as panel lines, such as behind the head, the thigh, and the torso. The only real seam line on the mobile suit that needs fixing are the ones at the back of the calves. For color inaccuracies, you are only missing the green sensor at the back of the mohawk, which is only a sticker here, unfortunately. Besides that, just placing some black paint for some striping details, you get an almost perfect rendition. So aesthetics-wise, this kit passes with flying colors. With some minor flaws, yes, but no real deal breakers, just pure grunt goodness. Before we get to the accessories, let's talk about the size of this model kit. This is a 1/100 scale master grade, but since this is a late UC mobile suit, they are typically on the smaller end. In lore, the head height of this mobile suit is 14.8 meters, so in 1/100 scale, it's 14.8 centimeters, which is only slightly taller than the standard sized HG RX-78, which is a little bit less than 13 centimeters. This kit is quite smaller than the normal sized MG RX-78, which is 18 centimeters. So it'll be pretty small on your shelf with other 1/100 scale kits, but will stand out in your 1/144 scale collection. However, we can still add some more bulk with some of the accessories. Here is what the Gunraid comes with out of the box, and we get quite a bit. For the hands, it is the swapping forefinger type. For both hands, we get a closed fist, a holding fist, and a trigger finger. Unfortunately, we don't have an open type hand, which is a bit disappointing. For the weapons, there is the short beam rifle, which is a shortened version of the one the F90 uses. The handle just slots into the trigger finger and you can pop it onto the hand. I do want to comment that the grip of the fingers doesn't feel the most secure at first, though once you get it in, I don't think it'll have a problem holding it and it won't fall off very easily. Notably, you can't store this anywhere in the mobile suit. Next up is the Mega Beam Bazooka. The ECAP ammunition is detachable, you get a total of 3. To hold the bazooka, it's the same way as the rifle, somewhat secure enough. We do have a bad seam line in the middle of the entire bazooka. Notably, the handle can be articulated so you can pose it easier. To store the bazooka, you have 3 hooks at the back skirt and you just pop these little bits in the bazooka out and slot it onto the back skirt. For the ECAPs, you can store them onto the mobile suit by removing the armor piece on either of the side skirts and plugging it in. They are not mirrored though, so if you place them both at the same time, they're gonna be flipped. We then get 2 beam saber handles with the beam effect parts. The effect parts are not UV reactive. They're beam sabers, so you just peg it in and slide it onto the holding hand. The hold is not the most secure, it does have a bit of a wiggle but it won't fall off. You can only store one of the handles onto the backpack. Next is the backpack attachment with the triple machine cannon mounted on. To attach it, you just take off the beam saber holder and this cap. The backpack then layers on securely and you get 1 peg for 1 beam saber handle. The cannon itself is also articulated. For the shield, it's basically just a giant block with a movable handle. You can slot it into the forearm of either hand, no problem. Lastly, the action base adapter, which to attach it is a bit more involved and complicated. You have to unclip the crotch and swing out the hips so you can get the adapter in, and then you close the hip again to secure it. And it's really stuck in there, so it's great for holding poses in the air. All in all, the accessories are nice, though the seam lines on the weapons are going to be annoying to fix. And I really wish that we got a open hand option, even just one or two. Though in terms of what's missing in lore, the only one really is the shotgun and the full version of the beam rifle. Personally, I wish they included the shotgun because I always like the idea of a giant shotgun, but it's not that much of a deal considering you do get a lot for 5,000 yen. So you can't really complain that much. Okay, let's talk about articulation. The head is double jointed with a forward and backward swing at the base and a ball at the top. Shoulder armor can rotate individually. Shoulder joint has good forward and backward swing. No upper bicep rotation due to the armor, but you do get a rotation at the forearm instead. Double jointed elbow, ball jointed hands, really good sideward arm raise, more than 90 degrees, full 360 arm rotation. Due to the waist joint, you do get good side-to-side torso movement. Ab crunch is also great, forward and backward. We get an opening cockpit hatch, of course. Torso can rotate a bit, but it is blocked from doing a complete 360. Front skirts are individually articulated. Side skirts are a bit limited in the movement due to the design. Back skirt cannot move at all, unfortunately. The thigh can rotate almost 360 degrees. For the hip joint, you do get a hip dropping gimmick. With that, you get a good forward kick around 90 degrees. Then you get quite the limited backward kick due to the back skirt. You almost get a full sideward kick, a full double jointed knee bend. The ankle armor has some slight articulation. The ankle downward bend is decent. The upward bend is good, not great. Very good ankle rotation. The sideways, inward, and outward bend is also great at the ankles. Lastly, the thrusters on the backpack are balls. So articulation overall is great but has some disappointing flaws. In practice though, these flaws didn't feel as limiting as you'd expect. You still get great poses easily and the stability of the joints are great. Posability is not as crazy as more prominent master grades nowadays, but since this is a grunt, I'm giving it more of a pass. And really, at the end of the day, it poses easily and looks great while doing it, which to me is the most vital part about articulation in a model kit. Okay, let's summarize this into my likes and dislikes. I'll try to keep this short. For my first like, the build and engineering is great. The kit feels solid and was enjoyable to assemble with no major issues with finicky parts or loose joints. Then for my first dislike, the seam lines for the weapons are pretty bad. To close them up would require some modifications due to the construction, especially if you plan on painting this kit. For my next like, it's definitely the aesthetics of the mobile suit itself. It looks straight out of the line art with minimal color, abs missing, and seam lines. The proportions look great and the overall detail is nice with some room to add even more. For my last dislike, it's a bit nitpicky, but I really feel like we're missing some open hand options. It's sometimes a limiting factor when trying to do certain poses. And speaking of poses, my final like of this model kit is that the articulation / posability is great considering that it is a grunt suit. Of course, there are some limitations like the backward kick, but overall you can get dynamic poses easily and it will hold it well. So the question is this kit a buy? Well, I do sound like a broken record when it comes to P Bandai exclusive kits. If you can get it at SRP or at least near that, I definitely recommend it. It hits all the right boxes for a classic style master grade. Just know that it is a bit smaller for 1/100, but if you don't mind that size, I don't see why you wouldn't buy this. Unless of course you hate the design, but honestly, I would still give this one a shot if you're more open-minded. So are you gonna buy this kit? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and of course, thank you for your time. Bye!